Good afternoon to all our fans and friends. This is Michael Virardi welcoming you to our 150th Ask Virardi live streaming episode. And for this particular episode, we have for the first time a chairman of the board, the president of Apollon Football Club, Nicos Kirzis. Nicos, welcome to the Ask Virardi show.
Thank you, Michael. It's a privilege for me to be here with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nicos is also a successful entrepreneur with properties and chains of restaurants as being part of his ongoing investments. And the disclaimer now, Nicos is my first cousin, but I did not invite him here because he's my first cousin. I invited him here because he deserves to be here. I consider him a very successful entrepreneur and a human being.
Thank you for the kind words.
My pleasure. I just want you to reciprocate. That's why I'm saying all this.
Well, I was actually saving it for last, but if you want me to reciprocate now, I'd rather do it later on.
Later on. And remember, as I told you, don't miss a word. If you share this episode or if you mention someone worth watching this episode, you get to win a 100 euro voucher for Frankie's, one of Nicos's chains of restaurant. It's a beautiful restaurant, lovely food, and you get the chance to win 100 euros voucher. So Nicos, welcome once again to the Ask Virardi show. And our first question is the following. Out of the many roles, entrepreneur, businessman, I write here president of Apollon Football Club, but I think you're the chairman of Apollon Football Club.
That's right.
Which one do you enjoy the most and why?
Well, I think each role has its own pros and cons, but I would definitely say that being the chairman of one of the biggest football teams in Cyprus, and just in general being involved in sports, gives you such a thrill, especially when the results are good and when we are winning games, you're winning trophies, then the thrill of winning in sports is something very nice and very difficult to substitute with something else. Closing a business deal, a good business deal, is also nice, but the feeling of winning a trophy is something really exceptional.
You were the youngest ever president in the history of the club to win a trophy in 2013 by winning the cup. Is that true?
That is true.
And what's the feeling on that?
Well, it was a great, because it was the first trophy I had won, and anything you do in life, the first time you always remember.
Of course.
You remember it very well.
I even take the innuendo, I understood. Yes, you're totally correct.
So you have to keep in mind also that the cup final in 2013 was against our local rivals at Limassol, which it was an extra motive, and we had won the final in 2013 after 26 years of our Limassol friends and rivals making fun of us for losing the cup final in 1987.
Pavlos Savas' goal, if I remember well, yes?
So yes, absolutely. So it was a long time coming. 26 years was a long time. And winning that game and doing it in my first year in charge was a fantastic experience, and it meant a lot, I think, not just for me, but to everyone involved in Apollon at the time and to all the supporters. And it was the beginning of this trip that we're still going through at the moment, which started in 2012, and it's still doing very well at the moment.
If Apollon wins the remaining 3 games that we have in hand, I think we'll go top of the league. Apollon goes top of the league.
I think you know yes. That I never answer a hypothetical question.
Hypothetical.
and in football, you should always focus on the next game and not the next games as such. So the next game is on Thursday against Lyon in France. So try and go and get a good result there, however difficult that is.
But how do you know I was going to ask a question?
About what?
You see? Okay, I jump on to my question number 7 because you talked about the thrill of winning. I would like to ask you about demanding fans. and that most of the times are only satisfied with a win. And how can you handle the criticism that comes your way when the team is not winning its games?
I think anybody involved in sports should handle criticism just the same way that you should handle the praise. I think criticism is very important, but I have to state the difference. The constructive criticism is what is important, because that's what keeps us alert, and that's what keeps us on our toes and makes us distinguish any mistakes we've made or realize where we can be better. Unfortunately, in Cyprus, there is different kinds of criticism, and this kind of criticism, which borderlines on rumors or gossip, then doesn't serve so good. But constructive criticism is really important in anything you do, not just in sports, but in general, in your business. I think it's very important. Just like when you, Michael, go and you have a seminar, I'm sure you ask for your
feedback.
Yes. And you don't always expect to get only the good things. You expect to get some feedback that helps you improve the things that people might think that you might be doing wrong.
Which is what you call constructive criticism, and helping you to become even better.
Absolutely.
Nicos, hearing you after so many years, I see why the team is doing very well. I like your train of thought and how you think and how you elaborate on things. Well done.
Thank
So
you.
let me go back to Nicos Kirzis, the student back at university during the university days.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, and I still remember when you came down to London to study for your first ever, I don't know if it was exam or a written paper or something, but I remember the times.
It was a written paper, yes.
Written paper.
And I had your help.
Yeah.
Your guidance, actually, not help.
Yeah.
Let's put it correctly. It was your guidance which helped me a lot to get actually at the time the best grade in
82. What was it? If
I don't remember the grade, but it was the highest in class.
And you remember that it was Saturday evening?
I remember that because it was probably the only highest grade I got during.
I think
during
humor serves you well. Anyway, you studied both in the UK and the USA. What are the main differences between the two educational systems, and what did you learn from each one?
I think I should start by saying that both educational systems are very good. I think I gained a lot both in England and in the US. Starting from England, I think the United Kingdom system gives you the very good foundations in order to improve, in order to move on to the next level. And then moving on to the US, you get the actual feeling of what it is to be part of the business world. It gives you direct access. It gives you you see every week on campus or on a monthly basis. You see real life success stories. You know, there are people around you, on-site visits. So it gives you the feeling of what it is to be in the real business world, and that was a huge opportunity for me to learn that in the US. So
whereas in the UK,
in the UK, like I said, it was very good. You have to keep in mind that in the UK I did my undergrad, in the US I did my MBA, so there is a difference there also. But I'm definitely happy with both, and I would follow the same route again, and because the UK gave the foundations that the United Kingdom gives you are very, very good.
I studied both systems, so I totally understand where you're coming from. Before we go on to our next question, Nicos, and let's take some of the comments from our friends and fans. Panfuli says, to his wife, the owner of your favorite restaurant. His wife answers, a must watch. This is the owner of the restaurant you love in Limassol. They talk to each other, okay? Haris Christou, hello Mr. Kirzis, a role model for all young people and businessmen.
Thank you, I appreciate that, Haris, thank you.
Keep the hard work up. I believe he's still talking to you. Frixos Mozoras sends a smile. And Bambis Betsalis says, Kirzis and Virardi, great twin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciated. And Doros Athinodorou, our designer for the Ask Virardi show and the banner that you saw,
yes,
says hello to both.
Hello to
Doros.
Doros.
Nicos, tell us about the effort that the president and his board have to exude in order for a team to be as successful as Apollon in the last few years.
It's an ongoing effort. It's a lot of effort, I would say. Especially if you serve the club like we do, a hands-on approach. We're involved in almost every single thing that goes on in the club, and that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of teamwork. Everybody, I think, knows their roles in the club very well, and I'm very lucky to have a very good team around me. And you should know that when you are running a football club, you should know that your decisions are judged week in, week out by thousands of people. You can't really hide. So you have to be on top of your game every week, and you need the hard work. You know that there's no weekends, there's no fixed timetables, but if you like and if you enjoy what you're doing, then that's not a problem.
And you seem like the person who enjoys what he's doing.
Most of the time.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Let's move on. We talked about your life as a student. We talked about Apollon, and that's we're done with it. So let's talk about your chain of restaurants. Together with your sister Vanessa, you are part owners, right?
Yes.
Because most of the time some people tell me Vanessa is the owner, or they tell me Nicos is the owner, so we clear it up. You're part owners together.
Yes.
And tell us a bit more about these entrepreneurial strides of yours, and what joy do you derive or difficulties do you face in this particular industry together with your partners, and if there are any more partners?
It's funny you ask me, because I'll just make a small recap on how we ended up in the restaurant business. Together with my sister. My sister is exceptional at making concepts and designing things. She's very good at it. And then we started off with opening up Milk Bar Cafe in a kind of tribute to our grandfather Aristos, who had the first Milk Bar Cafe 60 years ago in the outskirts of Limassol. So that's how it started, because the place where Milk Bar used to be where our grandparents' house was.
Yes.
So the idea started as a kind of tribute to our grandfather and grandmother, and then slowly the cafe became one cafe. Then we opened up Frankie's Social, which is a bar restaurant. Then we moved on to another one, Gin Fish by the Sea. So it all happened very fast, and it's a very interesting industry and a very difficult one, I should say. There's a lot of competition in Limassol. As you know, Limassol has become a fantastic place, a fantastic city to have to go and dine and to go out. I think the main problem of the industry right now is human resource. It's very difficult to find good employees because there's so much competition. You have to keep in mind also Limassol has the best hotel scene and the best hotels in Cyprus. So that's also a competition to the restaurants. And good staff is very difficult to find. So I would say in this industry at the moment, this is the biggest problem that we're facing. On the other side, Limassol seems to be on the rise again after the 2013 crash of Cyprus, and it looks very promising. I'm sure that if there are going to be more opportunities, and that's why we recently teamed up with P&S Restaurants, and we formed a partnership in order to improve our own restaurants and probably expand with something else in the future.
Excellent. Very well said. Thank you for briefing us on what's happening.
Thank you.
Nicos, the last two questions before I take comments from our friends and fans. is about a person, a mentor that has positively influenced your personal or professional life.
I'd like to change your question a bit. I would like not to stay to one person. I'd like to talk about two persons, and those are my parents. You know that very well, that like you, I know myself, all my values and all my principles come from my family and my parents. And I wouldn't distinguish between values of business and values in your personal life. I think it's the same thing. So if you have,
I agree with you.
If you have good values and correct values and principles in your own personal life, and then you implement those in your business life, then it's the same thing. And undoubtedly mine came from both my parents.
Nadina and Dimis, well done.
Yes.
Just before I ask the last question, let me get some comments. Christos Solomonidis says, Michael and Nico, glad to see you both. I know you guys both well, missed the tennis days. Hope to cross paths when I'm in Cyprus during Christmas. Till then, onwards and upwards.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christos.
Thank you for watching us.
It's a pleasure, yes. Last question, Nikos. A final message for all the... there is another one. The biggest lesson you learned in life that has served you well. What's the biggest lesson you learned in life that has served you well, Nikos?
Honesty is the best policy.
Wow.
I'm straight to the point. I feel that if you're honest with people, and then that's the best thing you can do, and it's the only way forward, to be honest with you.
Knowing you all these years, you've been very honest. Not quite honest, or a bit of honest, but you were honest, and that's what I like about you as well. A final message for all the Michael Virardi fans and friends who are watching this episode live or who will watch it recorded later on.
Well, again, I'd like to thank Michael for having me here. Except for a cousin and a good friend, I admire Michael because he's a fantastic trainer and a fantastic person. I'm sure everybody who's watching know him very well. I'm very proud to be here with you. I wish you all the best. And ask Virardi of the future shows. I hope to be here in your 300th show again.
I hope so.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you for your kind words. You're very young and still young, and you will be here for my 300th show, don't worry. Let me recap and then do a draw for our previous episode to find out the two winners. The chairman of Apollon Football Club talked about the thrill of winning a trophy. He said that everything you do for the first time in life, you remember it well, and since I do not run a club, I remember only one thing well. He talked about constructive criticism, that is very important, keeps you alert, keeps you on your toes. It helps you distinguish your mistakes and move forward, but when it's gossip and it borderlines with gossip, then it doesn't serve you well. He talked about two educational systems, the one in the UK and the one in the USA. He says that actually in the USA, it feels like you're part of the business world with real life success stories. He also talked about hands-on approach together with his team, together with his board, and he said that because of them, correct decisions are taken, and the team is enjoying the winning run that Apollon is now currently enjoying and for the past few years. He also said that he started in the restaurant business because of a tribute to his granddad Aristos. He had Milk Bar 60 years ago, and Milk Bar we have it once again here in Leoforos Makariou in Limassol, tribute to granddad Aristos. He talked about the obstacles in this industry, in the HORECA industry, and he said it's due to the HR, human resources, because of our hotels who are taking away the best resources. He also talked about a partnership with P&S Restaurants, that's the owners of Carob Mills and the other restaurants in Limassol, well-known restaurants. And he talked about his two mentors, his mother and father, Nadinas and Dimis, who have given him all his values. Last but not least, he talked about honesty, which is the best policy. So in closing, my dear friends, I would like to do the draw for the previous episode with Matthias Dockner. Matthias is giving away 1 hour of his time mentorship through Skype, and also beautiful wine from his uncle's vineyard, which is responsible for 1 million bottles of wine each year, one of the biggest wineries in the world. So Nikos, if you can draw two names out of the cup. Thank you. Sure. Can you read the names aloud? For the 1 hour coaching.
Yen Reed.
Yen Reed. 1 hour coaching with Matthias. Togner. And last but not least, the wine will be delivered directly to Mr. or Mrs.
Memnia Theodorou.
Memnia Theodorou, our friend, fan and dentist. Dear friends and fans, next episode comes directly from UCL, University College London, next Tuesday on the 28th, not Monday, Tuesday, with the head of business school, Mr. Richard Pettinger. And I'm very honored to be interviewing Richard Pettinger next Tuesday, and we will tell you about the exact time. Thank you very much, Nicos. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.